In the previous lecture, we talked about indexes built based on B plus tree concepts. In this lecture, we talk about indexes built based on hash functions. Hash function basically is a mathematical function which takes the input and gives a fixed length output. The set of values that the hash function gives is also fixed set. So a fixed set of fixed length output is given for a given input. There are a variety of mathematical functions that can be used, but for the understanding purpose, a small function can be described. Imagine a given string. The string can be converted into a binary string, and once the binary string is converted, take the last two digits of the binary string. So given any character string, the output is the last two digits of the binary string of that character string. Then what happens? Only four possibilities: 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. So we can assume that this has a hash function as an example, a very simple hash function. So four buckets can be created, and given any string, we can take the compute the corresponding last two digits and identify the bucket, and can create give a link to the record in that bucket. This is how we can build hash based indexes. And there are of course variety of ways in which we can deal with the hash functions. There are two types. One is dynamic hashing and extensible hashing, and linear hashing comes to this, and another one is the static hashing indexes are built. We'll talk about these things in detail. In case of static hashing, once the number of buckets are fixed, they will be permanent. No changes in the number of buckets is allowed. And based on the data size and requirement of the hashing or the number of buckets, we can choose the corresponding hash function as well. It depends on the nature of the attribute as well. For example, here one more mathematical function is given. For any given input, hash value can be computed as a times of input plus b, and then take modulo n, where n is number of buckets to be fixed. Suppose if we fix capital N as a number of buckets, which is usually a power of 2, once you fix that and given parameters a and b, we can create a mathematical function. So which computes a times the input and then plus b modulo n. This is how the hash value can be computed, where a and b are of course numbers, integers, and the input should also be an integer. Even a string is given that can be converted into a suitable integer, and then we can compute the values. It's all a mathematical process. Once we do that, we can have the number of buckets fixed as n, and once it is fixed, data is the attribute values for which the hashing is to be created. The input, when the attribute value is given as an input, the corresponding hash value is generated, and the link to that record is added to that bucket. So once the link is added to that bucket, depending on the capacity of the page of that bucket, number of records that it can hold, number of indexes it can hold, once it is filled, what happens? So if another attribute value is computed, input is computed, and still the same bucket is to be in the same bucket it has to be added, but that page is full now with other information of other records, indexes of other records. Then in that case, what we need to do is we have to create one more overflow page for the same hash value. So for example, in this case, in the diagram, you can observe that 0, 0 is an indication of the first bucket where the indexes are incorporated corresponding to the hash value output of 0, 0. We are not storing 0, 0 there, but indexes are stored in that bucket with output as 0, 0. That's what indicates. So once that is full, that bucket is full, still one more record is there with the corresponding attribute hash value as 0, 0. Then what I need to do is I have to add one more extra page, and it forms a chain, linked list of extra pages or overflow chains are to be created. This is the only way we can do it in static hashing, because the number of hash values cannot be increased, because the function is once for all fixed and the buckets are once for all fixed. So this is static hashing, and it is suitable for stable data again. Once the number of workflow chains increases, again the effectiveness of this hashing decreases. And also that another point is that if the data shrinks, unnecessarily the buckets will be kept unused. So both ways are there, but for small and stable data, this hashing is best one. In case of static hashing, we observed that long workflow chains may be formed if data is continuously filled beyond the capacity. Then in that case, the performance of the hashing itself decreases, because even if for a given input, even if the hash value is calculated and bucket is identified, still the search is not complete. Because of the long workflow chains, we may have to continue the search until the record is met. So this will defeat the very purpose of hashing if there are long workflow chains. To avoid this, a new mechanism in the form of extendable hashing is created, where the buckets are dynamically increased or decreased according to the requirements. Here, to do this, a directory of pointers is created which points to the actual indexes, and these pointers will point to the actual buckets. This directory can be increased based on the requirement. This directory can be doubled in the capacity, and so that the data buckets can also be split according to the requirement of insertion. If we delete, still we can compress the number of data buckets as well if required. So this kind of adjustment is there, flexibility is there in such extendable hashing. Now, as an example here, let us observe that we start with the directory consisting of 4 values 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1, and there are 4 buckets are created for each of the values here, binary strings here, and you can observe already 4, 12, 32 and 16 are inserted in the first bucket, 1, 5, 21, 10 and 15, 7, 19. So these are the 4 buckets. Data is inserted here at one stage. Now there are 2 values here, local depth and global depth. Here the local depth indicates to what extent we should compute the string values. Here 2 indicates we are going to consider the last 2 digits of the binary string for a given input. So for a given input, if we consider the last 2 binary digits of the string, just as we have seen in the last slide, that corresponding record is inserted in that bucket. And global depth indicates again the length of the binary digits that we consider for the given input. So in this case, global depth is 2, so we're going to consider only 2 digits from the right end, and local depth is also 2. So that's a given scenario. Now suppose if I want to insert one more value, like say 13, if you calculate the binary string of, so give the input 13 as an input and calculate the binary string, the last 2 digits should come as 0, 1. So if you take the last 2 digits of the binary string for 13, it should be 0, 1, and 13 has to be inserted into the second bucket, bucket B, because that is a pointer pointing to the second bucket. This is how we can do for the insertions. Now here let us see how the split is identified. In this case, if you start with 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1, the local depth is 2, global depth is 2. In the previous slide, we observed that the bucket A consists of 4 values, 4, 12, 32, 16 and 32. Now suppose if you want to insert one more value, 20. Again, if you compute the input for the 20, if you compute the binary string and take the last 2 digits, they indicate 0, 0. But if you look at the bucket A, it's already full, so I cannot insert it there. So now what I need to do is I have to split that bucket A into 2, bucket A and bucket A1. And we need to redistribute the indexes that are already existing in A into 2 buckets. How do we do that is, if there is a split, then what we do is we'll double the size of the pointers. Previously we have considered only 2 digits, so 2 power 2, and now we'll increase that length as 3 digits. Instead of 2 digits, now we take 3 digits. Obviously what happens is we'll consider starting from 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1. Total 8 pointers will be there now. Because we're going to split the bucket, we are now doubling the pointers, set of pointers. And now the global depth has increased to 3 because we're going to consider 3 digits, last digits of the binary string that is being produced. And again, if you can carefully observe, 0, 0 is the previous one. Since we have doubled it, there are two possibilities now. For 0, 0 itself, there are two possibilities, 1, 0, 0 or 0, 0, 0. So the same pointer pointing to the single bucket now is split into two. 0, 0, 0 should point to one bucket which is split, and 1, 0, 0 should point to another bucket, because for these two buckets 0, 0 is common, which is same as the previous one. So that is how we split the pointers, double the pointers, and split the bucket. And again, how do we redistribute the values? Because 4, 12 and 32, 20, 16 are the previous values. If you consider the last two digits, 0, 0 are the values. But now since we need to redistribute, we need to consider 3 digits for each of the input value now. Again, if you take 4, what about the last 3 digits now? It should come as 1, 0, 0. So now 4 has to be redistributed into bucket A1 because it is pointing to 1, 0, 0. Similarly, 12 has to be sent to 1, 0, 0 bucket, corresponding to 1, 0, 0 bucket, and 32, the last 3 digits should be 0, 0, 0. So they remain there in the bucket A, which is pointing to 0, 0, 0 now is pointing to A. 1, 0, 0 is pointing to A1. And 16 will also remain there because the last 3 digits are 0, 0, 0. So now the bucket is split into two parts. The values are redistributed according to the new set of directory values. This is how the split is performed. Again, if a new value is there, again we'll compute the values, and if the bucket is full again, we may prompt a split. But there are certain issues here. If the data is queued, in the sense, if the entries into the buckets is uniformly distributed across the buckets with respect to time, then the growth of the buckets, number of buckets, will be uniform, and the split is also uniform. Suppose if the distribution of the values or the indexes is queued, in the sense only for example only one-sided, something like 0, 0, 0 we have considered, and bucket A is split into A and A1, and again still if we are inserting into the values into A only, bucket A only, again if it has pre-split, then I have to consider doubling again the pointers. So if keep on increasing the values and splitting the bucket A itself again and again, it is a skewed one because one-sided values, distribution is not uniform. In such cases, what happens is unnecessarily we have to split the directories. In such cases, instead of splitting the buckets unnecessarily, we may again go for adding one more page, overflow chain, to avoid skewed distributions. So still that possibility is there. Similarly, whenever I want to delete a particular record entry, again similarly we can identify the bucket and we can delete it. Suppose the bucket is completely empty, then we may delete that bucket. But for practical purposes, we don't do immediately delete it, because sometimes we may require again, the same bucket may be required again because some value is inserted. So in case of deletion, we don't immediately delete the buckets as far as possible. So like this, extendable hashing gives a picture of a dynamic picture which grows or shrinks according to the data.